Sweet. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome everybody to the, what is this, the second quarter GIS community meeting. Glad y'all are here and could spend some time with us. We got a lot to go over. It looks like things are slowly starting to turn back to normal. I'm actually back in the office for the first time, and one thing I haven't really considered is that all my devices are battery operated. So when I got here, all my keyboard was dead and my mouse was dead and everything is dead, and I couldn't get on, so I panicked for a half second. So I got everything being charged, but hope everybody's doing well, and hopefully we'll get back to normal. We got a good one for you guys today. We've got a lot coming out of Tenerife that we want to go over with you, some pretty exciting things, as well as we've got a new, I guess, a new guest speaker that's finally with us. That's part of our GIS StratMap contract. We'll be talking a little bit about GISinc and what some of the cool things they're going to be working on, and of course we'll be doing our roll call. Like we always do. Very interested to know what you guys have been doing, what y'all are up to, and so forth. So Joey, go ahead and go to the next slide, and we'll get this thing kicked off here. So this is kind of what will be kind of the layout that we have. I'll talk here for just a few minutes. We'll give project updates. Gayla will come on, and then it'll go to Joey, and then to Lauren to talk about some of the new data products we've got coming on. Then we'll do the roll call. This is always my favorite part. Looking forward to knowing what you guys are doing and how we can better support you, I think, through this process, and just interested to know what's been going on. And then, of course, GISinc will present for 30 minutes, and then we'll have some announcements and some closing remarks near the end. I want to encourage everybody to please ask questions in the chat window. If you can access that, feel free to ask any questions. We'll be monitoring that, and we'll ask them on your behalf. And then when we get to roll call, definitely some of you guys I will call on directly, but others, if you have anything to say, please raise your hand. We'll call on you. I'd love to know what you're up to. So that's how this is going to play out, and I think it's going to be a relatively short meeting today, but we do have a lot to go over. So Joey, next slide, please. So since we last met, a lot of things have been going on simply because we've been, just because we've been, sequestered at home or whatever doesn't mean everybody isn't busy and working hard. One thing that's kind of been new is something that has come up with the National Geographic Information Council, National States Geographic Information Council, or NSGIC, is a new program that we're looking into contributing to, that we're going to be part of the pilots, called Geo-enabled elections. And basically what this is, it's focused on promoting the use of GIS to ensure more efficient, effective, and accurate elections. So the project should last through October, and that we hope it will show the advantages of accurately verifying voter addresses to ensure that they're on the right ballot. There has been issues where people have been sent the wrong ballots or are actually voting in the wrong precincts and that kind of thing because their addresses aren't matching in with the precincts. So this isn't happening just in Texas. This is happening nationwide. And so what we're trying to do is verify voter addresses to ensure they're getting the right ballots. And wanted to give a special thanks out to Kendall County Elections Director Stacy Decker for allowing us to showcase her county in this process. So she'll be helping us out. The other thing that's big, and Joey's going to talk about this, so I don't want to steal his thunder, but the LiDAR classification project has been kicked off. And Joey's going to talk more about this, but basically what this is kind of unifying all data relating to LiDAR into one common class for the state of Texas, because right now not all LiDAR data are classified the same way. So Joey's going to give you an update on where we are with that project and what to expect over the next coming months. Also wanted to announce that we actually have 2 positions open right now at Tenerife. We have a developer position that hasn't been posted but will be soon, and also too we have a special projects position that is open as well. So if you're interested in working for Tenris and you've got the right skills and think you can make a difference, we'd love to hear from you. So go to the Texas Water Development Board website and look for the job postings there and follow the instructions. We'd love to see you. The other thing that's been big that we've been debating a lot here is the forum planning. We were wondering how things were going to pan out. Obviously we have to try to read the future here, but we think things are going to get relatively back to normal by October. And so we are going forward with our planning of the forum as normal. It's going to be an in-person event, just like before, and we are looking in ways of possibly kind of making it a hybrid sort of thing to see if we can do a little bit of where people can log in and maybe view things online, as well as come, in person. We love these things to be an in-person event. That's the whole purpose of the forum, is to get people together in a room and have those conversations and kind of share those experiences in a personal level, which I believe is missing if we go online. But we understand that we're not going to be totally out of the woods yet, and so we are looking at ways we can do both. So stay tuned. We've already got a save the date up on our website, so take a look at that. But please make plans to be there, and we will be opening call for papers soon on that. So we hope that you can that you will participate with a paper. That would be fantastic. The other thing that we wanted to go over with you real quick is the Data Hub revisions. If you recall, maybe about 6 months ago, we actually had asked everyone to participate in a survey that will help us make the Data Hub better. The Data Hub is a huge undertaking. It was a complete rebuild of the way we disseminate information out of Tenris. It took many people, many months to write this new back end that makes this all possible. What we wanted to find out from y'all was how well it's working and what kind of information can you provide to improve on it. And we got a lot of feedback, and we do appreciate that. So we're going to be working on user interface upgrades, user experience upgrades based on your feedback. We got new features we're going to be doing. We're going to be implementing a better geolocation type feature, improved catalog searching. A lot of those things that you guys are struggling with when you first started using the catalog. This is going to be the next version of that. That's going to take all that information and try to improve on it even more. And of course, we'll continue to do that over time as we learn new things, and as you ask for new things, we'll continue to build upon that. This will be a topic we will be doing. I think we'll be sharing with you in more detail, probably at the next community meeting, where we'll actually have a formal presentation on all the things that have been done. So stay tuned for that. And then the only other major update that Gayla's going to talk about is the major update with the Texas Imagery Service, and that we have now a new provider of that imagery. So we're very excited about that. Google is no longer the primary image provider, though you can still access that imagery. Gayla's going to talk about the new provider, what that entails, and what that provides to you. So we're very excited, and congratulations to Gayla and her team for making this all happen. So stay tuned for that. So those are all the things that have happened in the last 3 months since last time we've talked. A lot going on, and really, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Gayla to kind of give you updates on the StratMap side. So take it away, Gayla.
Hey everyone, I'm Gayla Mullins from Tenris in our strategic mapping program, or fondly known as StratMap. Since our last meeting, we have added more companies to the StratMap contracts that are available to any government entity in Texas or even outside of Texas. These contracts are available at the Department of Information Resources, and we now have 20 amazing companies that are available to meet any of your GIS data services or software needs. I'd like to highlight that we do have GISinc and Continental Mapping who are presenting jointly today on contract, as Continental Mapping came on just yesterday, so the timing was perfect. And we do have more in progress. And so we're hoping to add more to this pool in the coming months. And you can always go to our website to see these exact boxes for getting to the company's contract pages. There are some deep discounts that are available to you and your purchasers off of the DIR contracts. So again, we hope that you take advantage of these for any of your GIS needs in Texas. Next slide, please. So yes, as Richard already alluded to, we do have a new content provider with the Texas Imagery Service. This is the statewide imagery service that is administered through TNRIS. And we switched formally from Google to Hexagon last September on our state fiscal year. And just as of this last month or earlier this month, the service is now showing imagery statewide, the entire state of Texas that was flown in 2020, last year, all available now in the service, all at 6-inch pixel resolution. So we're very excited to not only have the contracting done, which was done months ago, but actually see 2020 brand new imagery in the service from Hexagon. And we hope that if you're already a participant, that you're of course seeing that and can let me know if you have any questions. And if you're not a participant, I can show you how. We also have, we're not done. We do intend to refresh the entire state every 3rd year. And we do have urban areas coming in 2021. So 14 urban areas were flown again in January, February of this year in 2021. And those 14 urban areas will hit the service this summer in the July timeframe. So, and we're looking at being able to update those urban areas annually. It is a streaming data service with unique WMTS and WMS links that we issue to you. And the imagery are licensed, so it's not a public data set. However, if you are a government entity in Texas, you and your contractors are eligible to subscribe. Get to the next slide, please, Joey. And this is how you do that. So you can go ahead and go onto our website and request a free trial. It's the exact service links that you would be issued permanently. We can open those up for a 14-day trial with you. The pricing is there on the left-hand side. It's also on our website. So if you are a local agency, say a county or a city, you can receive the service for a flat rate of $6,000 per year. And there's a little bit of a DIR fee on top of that. If you're a regional agency like a river authority, then it's a $15,000 fee. I am noticing here that this slide is missing our university level pricing, but it is on the website. The by department starts at $15,625. And then state agencies are per data usage. Next slide, please. If you are unable to join the Texas Imagery Service, we still have public domain imagery available to you. And that is the NAEP 2020 data, the National Agriculture Imagery Program. We've been a part of NAEP, working with NAEP since 2004, at the very beginning of my career, and I'm happy to say that we have 2020 imagery available from the data hub at TNRIS. This is 2-foot resolution imagery. It's 4-band, so you get the color infrared as well. And right now, TNRIS is only in possession of the compressed county mosaics. And that's what's available for download on the Data Hub. We are still awaiting the DOQQs, the orthophoto quarter-quads, and we expect to have those this summer from the USDA, who runs the NAEP program. And so it wouldn't be until that time that it would be possible even for us to make a service out of the data. So service as well wouldn't be available until the summer, although the USDA does have a NAEP imagery service. And as of, I think last week I checked it, it did not have the 2020 Texas in it. So if you're interested in that, feel free to contact me. And again, this is free download from the TNRIS Data Hub. Next slide, please. So I think this was the last part of my topics before I hand it over to my colleagues, Joey and Lauren in StratMap. We did extend the StratMap updates time for this meeting because we've been pretty busy, but we're excited about some of these new projects. And this is brand new. So we are looking at the NOAA. They have a NOAA land cover product that they develop, and it is 1 meter pixel resolution. So it's very high resolution in land cover speak. You can see on the slide there the difference between a 30-meter product and on the left and a 1 meter product on the right. We're working with the Houston Advanced Research Center, HARC, on developing an area of interest as a first time, kind of like a pilot for this data set in Texas. 1 meter data from NOAA has not been developed in Texas yet. So we're looking at doing this around the Houston-Galveston region. It would definitely be multi-county. The number of classes is also under development, so those are not known yet, although they do nest within the Anderson schema if folks are interested in that. They are of a detailed level for coastal applications and for impervious classes as well. We are just in the stage of contract initiation at this point. So again, a statement of work hasn't even been developed yet. But in the end, the data will be in the public domain and available through TNRIS approximately summer 2020. But there's still a lot of time between now and then for the development of this data set. So I will pause here and I'll check the questions and write back if you have any, and also feel free to contact me at any time on any of these topics. And I will go ahead and hand it over to Joey.
Thank you, Gayla. Let's see, can you guys hear me okay? Oh.
Yes.
Hope so. All right, perfect. Yes. So just to give you an update. All right, to give you an update on the statewide LiDAR coverages, the only changes since we last met was that the USGS 2019 the hurricane coverage data, which is that kind of light brown tan color, is now available through TNRIS.org. So please feel free to go and download it. I actually received the 2020 North and Central Texas LiDAR data set yesterday. Sanborn delivered that, so we'll be working to get that available online, and that's the orange area in that map. Projects that are going on this year, the LiDAR projects, the Travis and Bear County, Texas, and the McLennan County, were all flown successfully and are in the processing and pilot phases of there. So we're looking forward to those, especially the City of Austin 12 point per square meter data set. That should definitely be a valuable data set for the state. And it's the highest point density that we've done on any of our LiDAR projects. So it'll be great to see what that data set looks like and what it's capable of doing. And the LiDAR classification project kicked off, as Richard had said. It's underway, and it also will include a third-party QA/QC so that the data will be tested to meet the classification standard of our other StratMap data sets. But this is more just to standardize the classification schemes across the state so that as you bring in these data sets, they'll be able to work together a lot more than they do now. If you bring our data set next to a USGS data set, it's going to look like that picture there. So this is the same area where you see the orange in one, that's a building classification, and where you see the gray in the other, that's just the unclassified. So we're going to be taking those points that are the gray points and turning them into the vegetation and the buildings and the culverts that are going to help support other initiatives around the states. One of those being our building classification, or the 3D building footprints that we're working on. So hopefully that data should be available by spring, summer 2022. So it's going to take a long time to crunch all that data, but we're confident, and our vendors are confident that we should be able to have it done by that time. So it'll definitely be a great value to the state. One of the other LiDAR projects, elevation-related projects that we're doing is the Laguna Madre Topobathy LiDAR project. So in 2017, the Bureau of Economic Geology flew that area, but unfortunately the funding for the processing portion of that project fell through, and so it's been shelved there. But we worked with them to get a project up and going where they are now processing that data. And our intention is to have that data processed and then go in and fill in the gaps wherever the topobathy LiDAR was, we don't have a high confidence level. It collected the bathymetric bottom surface, and we'll go in and get acoustic survey for those areas. We should know by early this summer, what areas we'll want to pursue for the acoustic survey. So that'll be another project related to this one that'll be coming up this summer. So and it's definitely going to help our coastal flood modeling efforts. I know it'll be a valuable data set to a lot of different agencies as well, from their own community projects to the biological projects for species identification and that sort of thing too. So should be another interesting data set for the state. We're looking forward to getting that project underway this summer. Something that came up more recently, we were contacted about 2 weeks ago by one of our our bathymetric survey, reservoir survey group, and they were talking to the North Texas Municipal Water District, and they were wondering if it'd be possible to get topobathy LiDAR flown of the reservoir prior to its impoundment. And so, I looked at the timeline, we looked at things, and it looked like we would be able to get a project done and get it flown. And we were able to get a vendor out there and fly it immediately. It was last week that they finished the acquisition. So that should definitely be a great data set to have moving forward. And I think it's something that we'd like to do more of in the future, is kind of get this baseline for these new reservoirs so we can understand them and how they evolve over the years and after impoundment. I think it'll be a great resource for the state moving forward. And so hopefully we'll have that data set by this fall to winter time period. So, it's a big kudos to AECOM and Quantum Spatial for, being able to go out and get this data so quickly. We really just kind of proves the ability of the StratMap contracts, and how they remove a lot of the red tape and streamlines this process for the state. So when we have these type of situations, we can be enabled to go out and get that data. So it's definitely a success story for the contracting vehicle we have in place. So, and I think that's it for me. So I'll see if there are any questions real quick. I don't see any. All right, so I'll hand it over to Lauren, and she can talk a little bit about parcels and address points.
Hey everyone, Joey, can you go ahead and hit next slide for me? Hi everyone, my name is Lauren Kirk. I'm the geographic data coordinator at TNRIS. I manage our land parcel and address point acquisition program. Not a whole lot to update you guys on since the last quarterly meeting. The letters or solicitation letters went out at the end of the first quarter. And the response has been pretty good. We've been getting in a ton of address point land parcel data. Since then, I've just been standardizing them. Still on track for a summer 2021 release. Inquiries are always welcome through Data Hub for the 2020 data that we do have. It is limited, but we do have at least about 50% of the state for land parcels and about the same amount for address points as well. So the 2019 data is already freely available on Data Hub, and you're welcome to request the 2020 data as well. The only real new thing kind of going on in this little realm is starting probably in the fall, I'm going to want to meet with individuals to discuss updating our land parcel and address point schemas, which are both located on our TNRIS website. After looking through the 2019 data that we've received, the 2020 data, and now the 2021 data, there are some fields that maybe are redundant or are not, data is consistently not being provided for those fields. And we've also been in discussions with the Department of Transportation, wanting to make sure our address point schema kind of more aligns with the NENA standards. So yeah, that's kind of what's coming down the line. 2021 land parcel and address point drop and potentially revised schemas for both projects. That's pretty much my update. So I know that was really, really fast. I'm happy to answer any questions y'all have. And if not, then I'll turn it over to the next person.
That will be me. So definitely doing some good things, Lauren and Joey and Gayla, for the report there. I think I wanted to kind of reiterate what Joey had mentioned, is that, you know, we got notification about Bodark Reservoir that was about to be impounded, and within 2 weeks we were able to get a plane up there, flown, and capture that data. And that StratMap contract, if we couldn't have done that if we didn't have this kind of a contract in place. So that was just a huge indication of how valuable this kind of a contract is. And this is, of course, available for anyone who wants it, can use it. So keep that in mind. If you've got something you've got to rush through, this is the mechanism to do so. The other thing I wanted to bring up too, as it relates to the new imagery that Gayla had brought up, when you are looking at the new imagery, one thing I think you'll probably notice that was a thing that stood out to me right away is how much less traffic are on all the roads, for obvious reasons. But for a half second, I was wondering if they flew all this on a Sunday, or, you know, why there was no traffic out, you know, from the highway across my house, which is normally stacked up. But yeah, you definitely can see the impact of COVID as it relates to just the general activity going around the city. So I'd be interested in what y'all think of that. One other thing I wanted to bring up as it relates to what Lauren's been working on, that parcel data and that address point data has proven itself to be an amazing data set that we've been using in conjunction with LiDAR, which then we've used to produce building information and so forth. And so we've been working with the USGS on their product that they have, which is the Flood Decision Support Toolbox, as kind of the premier application for all things flood in Texas. And we've been melding that data into the system as well, and it's been able to be used in a way where you now are able to understand what buildings are being affected during any stage of flood, not only what buildings are being affected, but what's the cost of, or the potential cost of damage if the flood should get to a major level at a certain elevation. you can see the buildings and compute the damage curves that are that are being affected. And so, that this is all brand new stuff with all this data that we've been pulling together and being able to use in real world applications. I mean, that's huge. It's amazing what this is turning into. So, it just seems like it's parcel data and address data, but used correctly, it's a world of information. So, really, really excited about all of that. So we'll go to the next thing that's always my favorite is the roll call here. And I've got just a few of my normal people that I call on, but again, I'd love to hear from you. So if Joey or Gayla, if y'all can watch for hand raising here and then let me know who they are so we can call on them to unmute their mics and have a conversation, let us know what's going on, that would be great. But I think I want to start off to see if TxDOT is on. Chris Bardash, I think you're on. Do you mind giving us a little update on what's happening with you guys? If we can unmute him.
Hey there, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, yeah, always happy to share what's going on. And what's going on at TxDOT as it relates to GIS is a lot, in short. So, we formed a GIS work group, which I've been the chair of for the last 3 years, in absence of, effective leadership in GIS. And recently, end of last year, we asked, finally having seen after 3 years that there just still wasn't enough resources to get everything done that we wanted to get done in GIS, and leadership seeing more and more every day with every presentation to them how important GIS is for the agency. We asked for the creation of a new statewide GIS program, including a manager position and up to 12 employees. And that was approved. And so since then, about 6 months ago, TxDOT hired Jen Lash. And she would be on this call, except that we had an overlapping similar call to this call internally within TxDOT. So she's talking over there on that. But so Jen Lash, her maiden name is Sylvester. Probably lots of you know her. She worked for AppGeo for a while, and before that, she worked for TxDOT for about 10 years. So she's back at TxDOT, leading up that program. And boy, I tell you, now that we have full-time people engaged in that, what a world of difference it's making for the agency. So she's already got a couple people working for her. She's got most recently hired a training coordinator. And so lots going on with GIS, just a few specific examples. So we've been doing the Esri system of engagement effort for the last, maybe year and a half or so. System of engagement is kind of a strange name, but I guess it's common in the industry. It's a name that Esri is using for a program which they have to engage with, folks who have Esri contracts to help utilize more of that contract. And so we engage with them to do that. We call it Polaris. And basically what they helped us do was to really set our architecture in place, help with actually building the architecture. So for example, we're, standing up a new internal ArcGIS portal. So we've had ArcGIS online for a long time, and we have our open data portal, which some of you may use. But now we're bringing in a whole. It's really quite a large infrastructure, GIS servers, dev, test, prod, the whole 9 yards. And then they helped us build a bunch of apps. So 5 apps. Including a new GIS hub, so an internal, website, they call it hub, for us to use for communication internally at TxDOT. And now we've started a phase 2 of the Polaris project. Again, engaging Esri with that, but this time more so on the TxDOT side, to finally roll all of that infrastructure out, migrate from ArcGIS Online to our internal portal. We'll still have a presence on ArcGIS.
Not sure if we lost. Did we lose Chris?
Yeah, I can't hear him either.
Okay. I wasn't sure if that was just my system. Chris, I think we've lost you if you can hear us. Oh,
It shows he's offline. He may have lost connection.
okay. Yeah, it sounded like you've.
Well, I see it says that Chris Bardash is talking, but I can't hear him.
Chris, are you able to hear us? I'll tell you what, Chris, we'll put you on the back burner here for a second, and if you can get back on, we'll pick you up again near the end of this section. But you cut out at a very critical part. I was waiting to hear what you were going to say, but we'll try again. So, okay, let's see. Who else do we normally have? I want to see if Jeremy Nobles is on from Parks. Jeremy, are you available? I think he is. Yeah, Jeremy's on. Jeremy, I've unmuted your microphone. Can you try it now?
Yes, sir.
There you are.
Yes. Hey, Richard.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Richard. Yeah, here at Parks and Wildlife is now's a busy season for us. Springtime. We have a lot of field work going on, and not just in the field. It's also a lot of office work. You know, we have a lot of staff collecting data out in the field, from spot checking, from vegetation mapping with our landscape ecology program to even our aquatic and invasive species programs, mapping you know, arundo and salt cedar, in estimating eradication efforts and initiatives. We also are getting primed up. Some of our staff is heavily involved with preparing maps for our public hunting program that's opening up in the fall, and it takes a lot of time and effort to get those ready at the beginning of every hunting season. Another big internal effort we have going on here at TPWD is trying to assess our one single ArcGIS Online presence. Over the past 8 to 12 months, we've consolidated many ESRI accounts into one agency account. And that puts us up to over 400 users in one account, with over 100 of those having publishing permissions. You know, there are over 600 items that are available to the public. It's not that easy to identify and find what exactly you're looking for if they're inconsistently tagged and described with appropriate item descriptions. So it's a big effort that we have going on right now, reviewing everything that's publicly available to make sure it is discoverable from the end user standpoint, make sure it's exactly what they're looking for with proper attribution. And then, of course, giving credits to the scientists and biologists and natural resource specialists where it's due, who've put in their time and effort to put that together for everyone to be able to use. Another internal effort we have going on right now is a testing environment, as Chris alluded to at TxDOT, having a development, testing, and production environments isolated from each other. We're on the same road. We've stood up an isolated testing environment down at the San Angelo Data Center, and we're implementing 10.8.1 ArcGIS Enterprise, something that we've never done before, with a portal presence, and just trying to understand what it can do for us, what it should do for us, and where we're going. And that, as you know, Chris alluded, not getting rid of their AGO presence. We don't plan on getting rid of ours because it is ideal for data collection out in the field, especially the areas that we have isolated locations, limited connection to internet and Wi-Fi. And speaking of that, we're doing a lot of testing and with our GIS field maps, Esri's newest version of mobile application. We feel like that's going to be our next big push of publicly available data is mobile map packages for the public to download and use using ArcGIS field maps. It doesn't require any usernames from the public side of things to be able to navigate without Wi-Fi or internet connection. And that's ideal for a lot of TPWD properties across the state of Texas. So we're really looking forward to see where that takes us.
Jeremy, you had probably 6 months ago or so, you guys were thinking about doing something similar to what TxDOT did, which is kind of get a coordinator in and kind of, maybe consolidate some of your GIS activities, or at least have some sort of a GIS structure within Parks and Wildlife. Is that still kind of happening, or what's the status there?
Well, Richard, I guess I don't recall the coordinator comment. Us consolidating all of our ESRI counts was a huge move for us because we had to migrate all of AGO content from several different organizational accounts. And up until that point last year, we had no way of seeing a holistic picture of all TPWD data, both
Right.
internal or external. And now that we are in one account, we are able to establish some standard guidelines and a direction of where we want to go as an agency for branding purposes, as well as increasing the data integrity across the agency. That's something that has never, to my knowledge, been done across the agency.
Right.
And it's difficult because it's a lot of people to communicate with and get sign off, buy-in, and then of course dedicated resources to apply changes consistently across the board. And that's why it's taken so long.
Gotcha.
It just takes a lot of time.
Absolutely.
But we are trying to get there.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. Anything else on your side, Jeremy?
Oh, and that covers it for now, Richard. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for your time. Good stuff. Let's see who else. I wanted to find out. I know I normally have Scott Friedman on, but I know he's got a conflict. Is there any other person from GLO that might be able to give an update, or if not, that's okay. Let me see here. Anybody? If not, we can move on. Okay. Let me move forward. How about TCEQ? Any updates from TCEQ? Raj or Jennifer? Don't want to put you on the spot, but okay, nobody. Okay, well, let's go ahead and go to some of our hands here. Let me go ahead, Matt Crawford, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you if that's okay.
Oh, here, Richard, do you still want TCEQ to go?
Oh, of course, of course.
Sorry, I was waiting on someone to unmute me, but here we go.
Sorry.
Well, I wanted to make a comment about TxDOT and TPWD moving to separated server environments. TCEQ has been doing that for 10 years or more now. We have separate dev, test, and production environments for ArcGIS server. We are starting our portal install. We just finished a big training push the last month for my team to get trained on the Esri base deployment class and the administrator's workflow class as well. So we're all trained up and ready to start with the install. yeah, I think I'll send Jeremy and Chris an email and offer our advice on things if they're interested in that, since we have that that history there. But so not a whole lot of stuff that's been complete to share with everyone. The joys of working from home, dogs. So we're in the middle of a lot of projects right now. So hopefully at the next community meeting, I'll be able to share some more.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. Thanks for getting on. I'm glad you came on. I don't know if are y'all able to unmute yourselves, or do we need to do that? Joey, what?
No, someone has to unmute.
Yeah, if they're not a panelist, we have to unmute them. But yeah, next I just sorted by the people raise their hands, so it looks like Scott is on.
Okay.
Unmute him. Scott, if you're ready.
I am. Hey, yeah, I tried to speak before, but I couldn't.
Sorry, Scott.
Oh, no worries. No worries.
I don't know how to work this techie stuff.
Well, I know you want all the control. I get it. It's fine. I'm sorry I jumped on late, and I do have another meeting at 3 o'clock. I apologize for the overlapping meetings today. But anyway, just briefly from GLO, we've got a lot going on. I'll try to hit some of the highlights, but I won't spend too much time. We're looking at we're doing, some of you may notice our land and lease mapping viewer is down. We're doing we found some issues that we didn't have a choice. We don't like to do that. We understand, we know how popular it is, but we're doing some necessary upgrades to that. We hope to have that back up within a matter of days. So that was just an unavoidable issue, and that's kind of why I had to jump on late. I was in a meeting for that, a high priority issue. But so we're doing that. We're still trying to wrap up some of the GIS architecture review stuff that we did with Esri, upgrading our servers. But that's mostly getting near the end. We've got some various coastal projects going on, coastal grants and projects update, the TechSed 3D mapping project. So that's sediment sampling data offshore. So geological data in that regard. We're also updating some other mapping viewers, our coastal resources mapping viewer, and updating our resource management codes. Those are codes used by energy companies wanting to lease the offshore tracks. So we've been working a lot with some of the, particularly Historical Commission on getting updated data for that. So yeah, and then we're making progress on our land grid project, where we're trying to produce PSF, a permanent school fund layer based on the RARA Commission data as opposed to the P2 Energy Solutions data. So that would give us a PSF layer that we'd be able to give out and be in the public domain. So we're making progress on that, putting together a workflow. As soon as we have a pretty solid workflow on that, I'd like to bring that to y'all, TNRIS and RARA Commission, and kind of talk about that collaborative in a collaborative way, get feedback on that. And then we've been developing a tarball data collection, field data collection application for our oil spill program. And they've got their annual Oil Spill Academy coming up next month, where we'll be presenting that for their staff and training them a little bit better on that, on the collector app. We're also looking forward to what's the next version of Esri's field data app or field collection, something like that. So we'll be looking at the differences between that and the current collector application, because we've got a lot of staff that use that collector app. I think okay, one more thing. So we're also developing an agency policy for the use of drones at the agency, looking at it from technology point of view, but also legal point of view, and having a coordinating body, a work group to coordinate all activities, COAs, pilot training, things like that. So that's another big thing we're working on. I'll kind of stop there, but let me know if there are any questions.
No, thank you, Scott. I know you were busy today, and I appreciate you. So yeah, definitely appreciate the updates on that. If anybody else at GLO wants to chime in, please raise your hand. But appreciate that. We'll move on to the next hand raised, I believe.
I have Thomas Montgomery is the next one I see. So Thomas, I'm going to unmute you.
All right. Thank you very much. Hey, y'all. Yeah, Thomas here from the city of Austin. Thanks for having me. It's the first roll call and quarterly meeting I've been to. This is pretty cool. I like this idea. So this is interesting. Yeah, I'll just give you all some pertinent updates. We're in a big process of migrating all our users from ArcMap to ArcGIS Pro. ArcMap is now called ArcGIS Desktop, if you keep up with the nomenclature. And yeah, we have this huge multi-phase process to migrate our, hundreds, if not at least up to 1,000 users over to Pro. And we're now in phase 2 of that, which is pretty interesting. It's going pretty well. People are responding well with training, with Esri's training and all that kind of support. We're also starting to migrate our enterprise infrastructure into Azure Cloud. It's basically going to work like a parallel infrastructure as we kind of get our feet wet, dip our toes into it, and get our, portal, data store, geo event server, all those kind of Esri ArcGIS enterprise offerings into an Azure cloud environment. So we're pretty excited about that. And I think I heard someone mention Hub earlier, ArcGIS Hub. This is a big product that we're exploring right now. And actually the Austin Fire Department Wildfire Division came out with a really interesting Hub site recently, which has been generating a little bit of hype. But yeah, the Hub product, at least for the city structure where we have a bunch of departments and divisions and everyone does something slightly different and it's not completely centralized as far as the workflow goes, the Hub software solution by Esri is really we're really taking a liking to that. As you may know, there's like a crowdsourcing feature of that called Hub Premium, where you can allow people that aren't part of your ArcGIS Online organization to sign up and contribute and maintain and edit data. So that's something that we're excited about. As far as imagery goes, I know we're currently adding the most recent building footprints to our base map catalog. And yeah, I know that LiDAR, a high resolution LiDAR will be coming soon from us. So those are a few of the things that I can think of. And like I said, this is I really like this format. So yeah, thanks for letting me speak.
Thomas, I appreciate you being on, and especially that this is your first time. Welcome to the community here. And so, please let us know what you're doing, because some of the stuff you're talking about, Esri Data Hub does, and the Hub Premium stuff is of high interest to a lot of the people on this call. So we'd like to know how it goes for you. So yeah, thank you for being a part of this.
Awesome, thanks.
Thank you. Joey, who else?
All right, next up is Matt Crawford from, looks like Texas A&M. So Matt, I'm gonna unmute you. And it looks like he's still self-muted though.
Do that too. Okay.
Yep, there you are.
Too many buttons. No, my name is Matt Crawford. I'm with the Texas A&M Natural Resources Institute, and I'm officed in San Antonio. But I just wanted to say that we're kind of in the same boat as TxDOT and Parks and Wildlife as far as kind of moving to Portal. I think we've had it installed for years, but we never really utilized it. And so over this past year. This whole thing kind of got us thinking and has gotten us wanting to be more cohesive and more available and to the rest of our institute was one of the main things. So we developed a strategic plan and have been implementing things on using Portal more, keeping it up, admin, sharing data with others within the institute, things like that. And so, and we're getting there. And anyway, the other thing I wanted to mention was that we had just finished up a project with Greg and Jason and Melinda over at GISinc this past summer. Actually, it was weird. I didn't know they were going to be on until you had mentioned it earlier. So I just want to say hi to them and thanks. That project we haven't released yet. It's scheduled for the middle of June, and I'll be sure and let you guys know. It's kind of a project that our boss is really passionate about, and I think we've got a good product, and that's all I can say about that at this point. But thanks for letting me talk.
Great, Matt. Thanks for participating. We really appreciate that. Next.
All right, next is Greg Smithart.
Hey,
Greg,
Greg.
I'm going to unmute you now.
How are you, sir?
Hey guys, very good. Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I just wanted to give a couple of updates on what we're doing at UT Center for Space Research. The biggest thing we've got going on right now is we have the new contract for the Texas Disaster Information System, TDIS for short, which is being developed. I know Richard, you're involved with this as well. There's a lot of players. Texas A&M will most likely be housing the servers, and it's meant to be a centralized one-stop location to get disaster-related data. For instance, during hurricanes and tornadoes and whatnot. And the efforts right now, at least for me, there's multiple aspects of it. Of course, there's the architecture aspect and working on deciding on what data formats that will be used between the various contributors to the system, permissions and that kind of thing. So trying to open up the sharing and then make it a system that can last or can be maintained in the future as well. We just recently, myself, I've been working more on the data side and coming up with our data classifications. And we just met with Anna Dabrowski, who's at UT Texas Advanced Computer Center, and Taylor Christian over at Texas Water Development Board. And we really appreciate Taylor reaching out to TDIS as they're developing the Texas Water Hub. There seems to be a lot of commonality between what we're doing. And one of the things that we discussed at our last meeting were how do we classify the data? Do we do it by use case or hierarchical or what have you? And we all have put in our ideas on that. Another big topic was data priority. What is the most important data to be developing now for this system as we begin to build it? And then data set assessment was another category where I had developed or my team, I should say, had developed a classification or an assessment classification system where you would look at multiple factors, whether it be accuracy and availability, accessibility, those kinds of things. And we came up with sort of a scoring system to score data sets that were, better or worse. And hopefully come up with a final, I guess it's a long list, so we haven't gotten through the whole list, but the idea is to score those and come up with a final score of which ones are the best and which ones are the worst, which ones need help, that kind of thing. And so that's basically what I've been working on. And then we continue to update our COVID viewer that's been going for the last year or so. And we do daily updates to that. So that's still ongoing. And there's, I think I demoed that at one of our previous meetings. And so, and then the last thing, I guess, is we're just getting ourselves ready for hurricane season. It's approaching again. That usually keeps us pretty busy.
Yeah. Yeah, Greg, I wanted to say too that the stuff coming out of your shop with some of the reports going on related to TDIS and uh, some of the information that Dr. Wells is putting together has been something that's actually been driving a lot of the development on these data hubs and these flood viewers and everything else that's been going on. Specifically, the cataloging criteria that was mentioned in some of the documentation is really, really good. It's one of those things that, we've been struggling to figure out how to classify and catalog, categories of data. And I thought what came out of your shop was really, really good. So, and I think what we're probably going to want to do at one of these meetings is to, when we get TDIS kind of moving along and getting some real direction and some progress going on, I'd love to have you guys come speak on that and maybe demonstrate some of the things y'all are doing. But exciting stuff, really. So,
yeah, that sounds like a good plan.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Appreciate that, sir. Who else do we have, Joey?
Next is Dan Irwin at TechStot.
All right.
I'm unmuting you now. Yeah, it looks, yep.
Yeah, I guess I'm unmuted myself. Hi, Richard.
Hey, good to see you, Dan.
Hey, good to see you. Yeah, I hope Chris can come back and finish up a little bit, but I just wanted to say hi and let you know that we're using the land parcel layer in our real property asset map, and it's a great benefit to our users, and of course the public gets to see that too. The other thing, I don't know if Chris has touched on it much in these meetings, is TechStot has a system called TechStot Connect, where we combined all of our major databases that didn't talk to each other. Mm-hmm. And in that database, it has a right-of-way module, and we're able to have our consultants and our own people upload the GIS geodatabases straight into TechStot Connect, and it joins the information in the database to those parcels, and it punches it out live to the real property asset map. Mm-hmm. So it's not perfect. We still have some bugs in it, as you might imagine, but it's working like we envisioned it to where we've removed a lot of human hands in the process.
So Dan, I wanted to ask you before you leave, are you were a real big, I guess, promoter of the parcel data when we were talking to you guys several years ago. And now that you're using it, we would sure love to get kind of input on how that's going and maybe what are still things we should be looking into as it relates to that. So, we're putting it out there and people are using it, but what I'd really like to get to sometimes is some feedback. How is it going and what are we missing? What do we need to still do? So we're thinking along those lines, but I think it's fantastic.
There's not a whole lot missing for our needs because, there's no way you could have everything that they have in the same data that, would be in the pop-up of the tables. But it has all the necessary data we need. Like if we look at a project and see all the property owners and see how many people we're going to have to buy property for to widen the highway, and they want to dig deeper, well, they just use the IDs or whatever that's already in the tables. But it gives us a really good head start on a lot of processes, and it's as we discussed in those preliminary meetings before you started working on the system. It's a big aid, and more people are finding out how important that is, not just for buying right of way or maintaining right of way, but for the engineers and the environmentalists in our department to know who the property owners are and have an easy way to contact somebody if they find an archaeological site or something like that near a way.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Just let us know if there's anything we can do to make the process better. We would really value that input. So, and I appreciate you being on and talking to us today.
Sure, not a problem. We're also, it's going to be real soon, but we're going to incorporate that parcel layer inside TechStot Connect because it has a GIS viewer inside that you can look at parcels and projects, mm-hmm. and trying to get as much of that stuff in there too, so people can do it internally and not use the public application.
Good. That's fantastic. Good news. Thank you, sir.
Talk to you, Richard.
Good talking to you. Thank you so much. Who's
Chris, I was going to unmute you if you wanted to finish on what you were talking about earlier. You're unmuted. Oh. There you
Can
go.
you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we got you back.
All right. Well, thanks for the opportunity. It never fails to. I guess my internet had a little glitch there. So I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but just the things that to list out some of the things we're working on if anybody's interested in it. I think I left off with that Polaris or system of engagement, migrating from AGO into our portal environment. We put together a GIS governance document last year, and we're on version 2 of that now, and that's really starting to be implemented now that we're standing up that internal environment, migrating from AGO to portal, and now that we have a program to kind of administer that. We're looking to build a data dictionary so people can look up all the terms that are used in our authoritative data sets and search for layers, etc. And then, communication has dramatically increased with that new program. They're doing division and district outreach to find out, how everybody uses GIS and what they need. We have that new hub page that's about to go live. We've branded the whole initiative. So we have all kinds of branding templates now, and we even have a cute new slogan that is putting TxDOT on the map, and that goes in all the materials, and it helps to bind this whole effort together, and really just trying to show everybody that most everything that we do, especially at TxDOT, has some kind of spatial component. For us, that's the roads. And so most of our assets and most of the work that we do can be tied to a spatial, to a place along the road, like right of way, like Dan was just talking about, and so many other things. And so our administration is really, has really come to see that and value that, and and everybody loves maps, and they want to, and that's how it translates to them, and they want to see more of our stuff on the map to be able to help with planning and so on and so forth. So the creation of that office and everything that they've been able to do in the last 6 months since then has just been a wonderful thing for TxDOT. I'm so excited about it, and excited about what we'll be reporting the next time around. I'm sure it'll be a lot. So stay tuned.
Chris, I appreciate that. And, we've been incorporating some of the Drive Texas stuff into the new flood decision support toolbox, the project I mentioned with USGS. That information is going to be also available within that toolbox. So, that's, I think, the beauty of everything is the fact that the data is being put out there and people are able to use it any way they need to. And I think that's what the critical part is. So appreciate everything you guys have done and all the continued work y'all are going to be doing. We're definitely going to want to be hearing more about these projects over time. So appreciate you giving us that update.
You bet. Thank you.
Hey, Chris and Richard, this is Gayla.
Yes.
We had a question come in, if Chris is still on and unmuted, kind of for him. We send a lot of folks your way, Chris, for county boundary data and city boundary data and those data sets, particularly since we don't update those, under the StratMap program anymore. So one of the questions is, and we know that there is no legally defined GIS county boundary data set in the state of Texas. But one of the questions is, how can counties or local entities provide TxDOT with any line changes to you in order to update the layer? And what is that process?
Yeah, so I'll start with city. That's kind of an easier one. And again, I just want to put that disclaimer out there that we manage city boundaries and county boundaries, and we publish them largely for the benefit and use of TxDOT employees and our partners, you know, consultants, contractors, et cetera, that are working with TxDOT. So, but, you know, that means that everybody else, it's available for everybody else to use them, and they do in absence of a more official layer. And I would love, and you know, I'm a broken record on this, if it wasn't TxDOT, because it actually puts a little bit of unfair burden on us to manage those data sets and to answer for any changes that we make to them. So just throwing that out there again, it's probably too late this legislative session, but I really wish it was up to somebody else to manage those. But since we kind of do, and we're kind of the de facto, you know, OPR right now, we update cities pretty frequently now. We weren't for a while, but we have a new process that allows us to do that easier. And yeah, you can send, if you know that there's an update that's missing from our map, you can send that to us. The email address is tpp-gis@txdot.gov. And I can type that in the chat as well if you want to share that with everybody. And then, so we make those updates, we publish those to AGO. If you know there's something wrong, send it to us or call us, and we'll try to get that done. So that's cities. Counties, we hardly ever, and we specifically try to avoid updating county boundaries. It's a very sensitive issue, and it also kind of wreaks havoc internally whenever we change such a high-level administrative boundary. And our TxDOT districts are directly tied to county boundaries, so it's not something we play around with willy-nilly. Over the last year, and we reported out, you know, at one of the last community meetings, that we made some small technical corrections to that data, where there were little zigzags in the boundary that were digitization errors from a long time ago. But generally, we don't make updates. We get emails and calls regularly, especially from TxDOT employees saying, hey, the sign is over here and your boundary is over there. And the shorter answer is we don't really care, because we're managing that data for kind of a different purpose. And on top of that, you know, they can plunk a sign down wherever. The sign doesn't have to be surveyed in, et cetera. So what we tell people is, if you're so serious about this sign, then go get it surveyed and get the two counties on either side to agree that that's the boundary, and then sure, we'll move it. And so far, nobody is taking us up on that offer. So, you know, they were, and just for everybody's information, sorry for waxing on here, but since you asked, they were digitized originally from USGS maps. So whatever it shows on the USGS map is what we put. And if you pull in, you know, a map service of the base map layer of the USGS, you'll see that they're coincident. You know, now we digitize them, but just based off of, you know, a georeference map, so they're not perfect. It's not survey grade, but you'll see that they do follow those. And basically, where the technical corrections were, where two sheets met and there was a little zigzag, they didn't meet up properly, so we just smoothed those out. So I hope that helps.
Thank you, Chris. That all makes perfect sense. I feel a punt coming back to us.
if there's really a mistake, you know, and it doesn't match the USGS map, or if we want to go that survey route, which I doubt anybody does, then we're happy to entertain that. But you know, it would have to be very compelling.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. Thank you.
All right. Looks like we got one more. John Cook. John, I'm going to unmute you. Go ahead.
Hey, John. John, can you hear us?
Oh, you self-muted.
John, you there?
It shows that you're not muted, John, but we can't hear you.
Hang on a sec. Yeah, John.
It says he's web, so he might be on like.
How about this? Can y'all hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sorry about that. I was trying to use my headphones there, and I guess that didn't work.
Now we got you now, loud and clear.
Okay, cool. Yeah, well, you know, like Thomas, I'm from the city of Austin, and like Thomas, this is my first time coming to one of these meetings. I also, like Thomas, like this format. I think you guys are doing a great job here. But you know, he did a great job covering everything at the city of Austin. There's really only one thing that I think I could add, and it would be that we are entertaining using migrating to roads and highways. It's kind of early days in that project, but we've had a few discussions with ESRI, and it looks pretty promising. And so now we're going to engage some other departments and see if they're interested in joining in on this with us. And then if so, then we'll do that, and we will begin probably a pretty big project to migrate to our centerline data roads and highways. But other than that, Thomas covered everything. But thanks for letting me speak and putting on this meeting.
Thank you, John. I appreciate that. You know, we always learn a lot from the city of Austin. You guys do amazing stuff, and both Felicia and I have been to your offices on numerous occasions to learn from you guys. Y'all do great stuff, and so appreciate you being here. Appreciate you being on and willing to talk first time around. So yeah, keep us posted on how things progress. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I think that's it. And boy, we are right on time. This is fantastic. So we'll go ahead and close this out. Is there any questions, Joey, or whatever, that we probably need to answer? We still have a few minutes here that we need to answer. Maybe we can do it verbally, but it looks like we're hitting them all as far as I can tell. And those of you who are asking questions, we'll definitely try to get the answers back to you if we don't get them in this particular, on this meeting.
Yeah, it looks like they're primarily related to the county boundaries.
Okay. Okay. We'll see.
Yeah, so we'll see if we can answer those to the best of our abilities or find somebody who has an appropriate response to those.
Yeah, and Richard, we know who you are. We can call you, go to lunch or something. So, all right, we're going to go ahead and move on to, I guess, our anchor leg here, to our feature guest presentation. And so, as Galen had mentioned, we are working on getting new vendors put on our StratMap contract. And I already talked about how important this contract really is to us doing business. And so, very excited to have a Continental mapping company and now GISinc. I guess they're one and the same now. So yeah, I definitely want to find out what's going to be new with these guys and what y'all got going on. And so, Greg, I think I'm going to turn it over to you first, if that's all right.
Yes, thanks, Richard. Appreciate it.
Thanks for being here.
Good to see everybody virtually. Appreciate y'all having us on. Nice to see some clients and familiar faces. Looking forward to traveling to Texas again soon. In the meantime, Steve, are you able to share your screen?
Yes, can you see that?
I see a Caltrans asset dashboard.
Okay, that's not what you should be seeing. You should be now seeing a PowerPoint.
Perfect.
Yep, there it is.
Right. Good deal.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve.
Yep.
So hi, my name is Greg Email, for those of you I haven't met yet, and I'm an account executive with GISinc for Texas, covering all state and local government as well as the private sector. So I work out of my home office in New Orleans, Louisiana. So I'm not far away. Looking forward to making my way back west on I-10 very soon to see y'all. Hopefully it's a quiet hurricane season for those of you along the coast as well as Louisiana. Much quieter than last year, we all hope, right? So I wanted to introduce my colleague, Steve Mulberry. He's our geospatial innovation strategist who's going to walk us through really a story of how just recently we've become, how GISinc has become a continental mapping company. Steve?
All right, thank you. And I turned my camera on just temporarily, just so I can say hi to everybody. I'll probably have to turn it off because I'll be sharing some videos and things like that. I don't want to bog down the screen here. So with that, I'll turn this off. And so Greg asked me to kind of walk through our sort of evolution on how, how GISinc became a continental mapping company. And I think first off, I want to just make sure that we're upfront that we are still a platinum business partner with Esri and CityWorks, which I think is unique in the industry for one, and also still gives us that ability to tap into those sources at those two organizations to help us understand where they're going with their technology, to also align with our initiatives that we're doing and help with the integrations that we're doing with both those platforms. So we're going to maintain those partnerships. Those are very valuable to us and very insightful to us and our customers. So how did GISinc become a continental mapping company? Well, let's start off. It's about 2 years ago. This company called Continental Mapping, which they are a complete and a comprehensive sort of data curation and acquisition services company. They deal with 360 imagery and LiDAR and aerial photography. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but their services range from collecting to extracting and detecting assets to solutions and integrations across the board, whether it's with Esri, ArcGIS, or others. They, about 1.5 years ago, reached out and purchased a company called TSG, the Technology Solutions Group, which was a very unique organization that focused on physical security. And they were consultants that looked at doing site surveys and security engineering services, producing situational awareness solutions and applications for all things physical. So think of a space, a building, a facility that needs to be secured, all the sensors and the cameras and the assets and the doorways and everything that could possibly be used to help secure a site and a facility. This is what that company did. And I'm going to highlight one of their solutions here. They purchased TSG and then just this year, at the beginning of this year, acquired GISinc, which we brought to the table our 30 plus years of consulting services, still handling all of our business solution integrations with, as I mentioned earlier, with Esri and CityWorks and others, and our cloud managed services as well. So as Greg and I were talking about this, he wanted me to kind of make sure that you knew that we're still GISinc, and the experience that our customers will get with us will still focus around our big initiatives, around cloud hosted and managed services, around business solutions and integrations, and around our consulting services. So those things are still in play, but what happens is we get to add onto that some enhanced solutions that are used to help collect and extract and disseminate information in the services for those processes, whether it's database processes, the site security and engineering services, whether it's any kind of surveying, hydro topology, things like that. And this slide is what we usually use to kind of help describe the quote unquote GISinc experience, but it's starting to get a little complicated here. So we narrowed it down to sort of 4 groups to kind of explain now, what this merger of 3 companies brings to the table. And we kind of focus on the acquisition and curation, as you'll see here through this presentation, that some really nice tried and proven processes over the last 20 plus years for using satellite imagery or aerial imagery or the LiDAR 360 imagery. All these technologies are used to help collect and acquire information, as well as using technology to then curate that and generate and validate the information that we're collecting, whether it's extracting features and detecting those objects, whether it's using AI or machine learning or even deep learning to help extract that information, using different tools and techniques to acquire and manage and maintain this information. We also then add the ability to do all of our data modeling and application solutioning, our system designing processes, extending that out to the security and the physical security of spaces, to now finally bringing that all together within the solution stack, whether it's with Esri or other business integrations that are required, the analytical side of that. This sort of sets the stage now for us as, GISinc as a Continental mapping company going forward on the services that we can now provide to our customers. And this was important to kind of lay out first, because I know there's a direct correlation between what GISinc services can do within the Texas DIR arena. So I let kind of Greg kind of talk and walk us through that process.
Thanks, Steve. Yeah, there's really sort of three overall ways to engage us through Texas DIR, aka StratMap. So we have a handful, actually probably about 20 different package services. I've listed here some of the more popular ones: overall system architecture reviews, a variety of different workshops, but sometimes there's sort of maybe a half-developed idea that you need to sort of develop the rest of the way. That's handled really well from a discovery workshop, which we can do all of this stuff listed really virtual as we have been over COVID time, and essentially in person when the customer feels comfortable with that again. And yeah, various jumpstart sessions with Utility Network, ArcGIS Enterprise. I know Hub is very popular. Heard everybody talking about that a little earlier, as well as with our Platinum partnership with CityWorks, various CityWorks migration work and integration work. So sometimes customers come with a detailed project and a scope that is sort of has a beginning and an end, has a timeline, and may need some project management. So we'll work with you to sort of build a fixed price contract and deploy that, roll that out. But a very popular way people engage with us are support blocks, and essentially it's leveraging our hourly rates that we have with Texas DIR in two different ways. One is a prepaid support block that comes with a single blended rate. We have some different defined ranges through Texas DIR that's on our DIR website. And another very popular one is simply pay as you go. It's really any amount that your budget that it really allows for. And we dive in in small blocks are usually around 5,000 to get started, but sometimes even much lower. So really all the stuff you're going to see Steve provide some more detail now on can be arranged through Texas DIR. And just recently, as these two companies, Continental Mapping and GISinc, come together, you can immediately engage our services this way as well as Continental Mapping as well. They are now officially on DIR themselves. So Steve, can you kind of take it from here and show everybody some more details about the offerings we're talking about?
Exactly. Yep. Thank you. So we thought it'd be a good idea to kind of highlight what we feel is probably one of the core capabilities now moving forward as a new company. And as you are very aware of, data drives everything, right? We can have the most sophisticated infrastructure and applications and services, but the data is really what makes everything work. And that's what now we have at our fingertips, is the ability to overcome some of these challenges of collecting assets, supporting you with maybe having limited resources, or working through compliance and safety and environmental conditions, and looking at different levels of asset and asset inventory, how to collect that, how to support multiple applications and keep that data current, and even starting at a baseline and moving on from there. This is what is really exciting to us, is that we get the ability now to implement a new process or share this process out with our customers. And that is using different types of technology to help collect that information, extending that to solutions and processes that we now have access to extract that information and then push that out to other business systems, whether it's the ArcGIS ecosystem of solutions and software, CityWorks, or other business systems that you might be working with. We now can offer this end-to-end solution from collection to dissemination to you. And I want to kind of dive into that a little bit deeper here. And I'm going to make, Greg, if you have any comments or anybody else wants to chime in here, please have an open discussion here. But I want to start off at the at the data collection side of this. Now, as a new company, we don't own any tech, right? We don't own the sensors or things like that. And we do that on purpose and intentionally because we know technology changes. It changes rapidly from the aircraft to the sensors to the cameras and to all these different components that allow us to collect information. So we leverage what's appropriate for the job at hand. And right now we've leaned towards the Maverick sensor to help us collect information out in the field. It's a very high resolution 360 imagery and LiDAR and video collection apparatus there. You can see some of the stats on what kind of information we can collect from that. We have a similar sensor backpack that we can use indoors to do the same sort of asset collection and floor plan generation and LiDAR and 3D component generation tools there. So we leverage these kind of tools. If we have to fly an area, then we leverage the right camera, the right sensor for aerial capturing of that information. Then once we capture that information, then we use tools and systems in the back office to help us investigate, interrogate, and look at that information, whether it's imagery, video, LiDAR, and based on the attributes that we determine that need to be collected, we use these tools to help us, detect the objects, but also extract those out of those platforms. Now, because it's raw information, we can push that just about anywhere, and we have a couple solutions that we use out of the box to help guide our customers through using this data that's being collected. And one of those is called the GIS. The other is the data fitness. Both of these are solutions that we use to help enhance the experience of the data that we're collecting and how we're collecting it, whether we need to make sure that data is healthy and the quality and the accuracy is right for the project, and then give access to that information as we're looking at it. So I want to highlight one of these tools right now, and that's the GeoAnalyst. Think of this as a web-based application, 3D, that's hosted and managed by us. We usually run that on the Azure cloud environment. Just because of the amount of data that we can typically collect with these sensors, whether it's the 360 imagery and LiDAR and video, we can host that in a very secure and a very, fault tolerant and high availability environment. You can then just go through a web browser and access the imagery, the LiDAR, the assets, all that information that's being collected and updated. You have access to that directly. And that's one way of kind of using that. So we provide this solution for you immediately as we start collecting the data. But another way is to grab that raw information and just plug that right into the ArcGIS system of things, right? Whether that's a web story maps, web applications, with desktop and pro, however you want to kind of view that information, Esri just reads that raw data directly. So let me kind of show you a quick example here. So let me go back out to my web browser. And here you're looking at a sample data set that we're working with here. And this is just using Esri's dashboard to kind of curate and aggregate the information so that we can see what's being collected, how it's being collected, the accuracy, the things, the timing of it. And here I'm going to jump down to District 11, and you'll kind of see some of the information that we're collecting. A typical dashboard, nothing sort of fancy here other than the fact that when we get down to a certain area here, let me zoom into this intersection right here, I can click on one of these assets. In this case, we're collecting signs and everything about the signs, the poles, the structures, the material, those kinds of things. And you can see the quick snapshot there. I can dive deeper into that, but I can open up this GeoAnalyst, which I just kind of showed you about, and it'll give me direct access to all of that 360 imagery. So I can visualize that information, start to visually inspect that data. I can jump to the next photo in the back and things like that. And that's neat, right? And it shows me it gives me the orientation to that. But I can also then jump directly to the LiDAR information and look at the 3D perspective of this data. I can start doing things like measuring the height and the distance and the area and the volume. I can look at reflectivity of different signals that are coming back from the LiDAR. I can generate things from this. So as I gather data, I can bring this into the Pro, and I can create my 3D objects, and I can start to extract information And this is the raw data that's being used behind the scenes to collect all those assets that you're now seeing on the board here. So these are the assets that are being collected from that process. And because it's the raw data, we can bring that directly into the Esri world here as well. So here's that same LiDAR scene being visualized and displayed here on the map. And I can open up tools that come right out of the box with the web app builder or other story map tools. I can start to measure information. You can see as I scroll my mouse along the LiDAR, it's picking up the points, and I can measure height and distance and area and all that kind of good stuff. So lots of things you can leverage right out of the box with the Esri platform, as well as take advantage of their oriented imagery capabilities. So here I'm just going to click somewhere on that street. It'll go out and find the closest 360 imagery for that location. And just like I was viewing it in the other application, I can then come here and also get sort of that perspective view, zoom in, zoom out, look at the sign, the inventory, and just have a visual way of inspecting and looking at the data that's being collected. So a really nice sort of integration point between the process and technology that's out there collecting it through the sensor, to the detection and the extraction process, to the now actually using this. And I don't have Pro up and running right now, but this could easily be running inside of Pro, and Pro offers and supports the oriented imagery, the LiDAR, 2D maps. You guys are familiar with that kind of prospect there. So that's a really nice integration piece. So the other two solutions now that we have access to in this new company is a tool called Visor, which is a visual representation and situation awareness and resiliency, a web-based application, and SightSeeing that allows us to tap into live video feeds that help us monitor and manage different facilities or construction sites or things like that as you're working in those areas. And I want to highlight Visor here for this one. So think of Visor as a web-based solution that allows us to bring this geospatial context to all of my facilities and their situation, what's happening in their areas, whether it's pre-incident planning to crisis response and management to post-event recovery. I can look at and manage any information that I want to collect, whether it's blueprints and floor plans, whether it's the assets, points of contact, whatever it might be. If I have sensors and real-time IoT devices and things like that, I can do some integration with those components inside of that, inside of this solution here. And what's really neat about this process is that TSG has sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Built this process that allows us to come in and do a really quick site survey and engineering process to identify all these key elements and assets that are important to you in tracking. So let me kind of show you that here real quick. This is the web application. You can see some of the sites that are being worked on here and managed. I can just grab one of these real quick. We'll look at, I'm an old Marine, so I'll jump over here to the Camp Lejeune area, and I can grab one of these schools. So you can see elementary school, middle schools, high schools, things like that. Then I can get into and look at all of the security elements that are being managed and processed from this facility. So as I'm doing my pre-incident planning or event planning, something happens in the school and I need to take action, I know that I can use this map to help identify ingress and egress and where are my assets and where are the facilities and how to get in and around the space. It all has the same sort of user experience, from the oriented imagery to identifying the features on the map to understanding what's happening within any space there. So it's all correlated here directly. So if I pan around here, you'll see that I also have access to the different assets that are available there. And I can click on these assets and look at the different description of those and look at additional information, whether it's again HVAC, whatever it might be, whatever is important to manage and work within this facility space. So literally a complete and comprehensive physical security and management system there, which is really unique, and I think it's going to provide a lot of benefit for folks from that public safety and homeland security kind of perspective there. All right, so let me jump back here real quick. overall, bringing these two companies together has really expanded our footprint. You can see from this map here, we're showing all the projects and customers that we've worked with, and a lot of questions that we're starting to hear is, how do we get started with using some of this technology, taking advantage of this? There's a really nice catalog that has been produced. It's about a 30+ page catalog that allows you to go through and say, I need this package, or I need this information, I need these assets collected, I want to do LiDAR, I want to do the 360 imagery, and it's really just a smorgasbord of things that you can kind of pick through and say, I want to do this, A, B, and C, and then we implement the technology that's needed to collect that information and then bring that back. So here's a great example of City of Santa Ana, California. They had this life cycle management initiative that they wanted to work against. They chose mobile LiDAR and 360 imagery. They wanted a geodatabase and that imagery within their premise so that they can plug it into ArcGIS and CityWorks. You can see some of the project dashboard, over 460 miles of center lines that were captured, 62,000 plus assets, and they chose to pick certain things, so curb, marking, sign supports, and sign panels. But what's interesting is that as we're collecting this information, we still have all the imagery, right? We still have the LiDAR, we still have those components for all that 466 miles. We initially only extracted out the curb signs that were needed, but the data is still there. So if later on they wanted to extend that and look at collecting more information, they have the raw data at their fingertips. Another good example is Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport. They chose to use CityWorks asset management system to integrate their two departments that required asset management. And that was the signage department and the art department. I don't know if you've ever been through the Atlanta airport or had a chance to walk from gate to gate. Sometimes it's a little bit of a walk, but if you get the opportunity, you'll see the amount of art that needs to be managed. Sometimes they move it, sometimes they store it in the warehouse. They got to keep all that in sync there. And so they use CityWorks to do that. So integrating that asset collection process into this business system to again do the same sort of things we saw with the dashboard and the GeoAnalyst solution. I can bring all those pieces together and have a nice situational awareness approach to my assets as well as in the security platform. And then finally, I kind of close up with this. We're always looking at ways to do further integration, right? And you may not be familiar with full motion video and how that kind of plays into the workflows that ArcGIS offers, but this has been around for a couple of years now. The ability to bring in full motion video and have that geo reference inside of my project. So as I either fly my drones or tap into my security cameras or bring in that 360 video that's being collected in the field, I can now tie that directly into my GIS data, or maybe have my asset inventory overlay on top of that, or even tie into live streaming. So if I have a live stream access to security cameras, I can bring that in here as well and spatially orient myself to that information. Now we're also seeing some cool integrations with commercial drones. So like DJI, they have an SDK that allows us to be able to overlay our GIS to the drones as they're flying or as they're capturing that 360 imagery. So here on the right, you can kind of see some examples of tapping into that SDK to then bring those two elements together, which is exciting for us to extend the way that we're collecting information, we're sharing information, and we're allowing that end-to-end solution for all that asset inventory process. So sort of in summary, I just wanted to kind of use this slide to say, yes, GISinc is a continental mapping company, but we bring to the table and offer a whole lot more services. So this really and truly opens up our opportunities for us as a company, but also to our customers to sort of provide this complete and comprehensive geospatial services, solutions, and business integrations with whatever your requirements and whatever your needs are within your organization. So we're excited about this. We see lots of opportunities and ways to integrate and work together moving forward. So Greg, I'll turn it back over to you if you want to kind of close up, or if there's any questions that we can we can work through.
Thanks a lot, Steve. This is all really exciting to see as we, become this new company with Continental Mapping. And I only wish I had said that you like to be interrupted earlier. Yeah, Steve is happy to field any questions. We all are. Essentially, even if it's not something that you saw covered today, something that might be on your mind about, the Esri world in general, happy to field some questions today.
Yeah, and if anybody has any questions that they want to ask in person, you can just raise your hand and we'll unmute you and you can ask your question. But we do have a question from Bruno Blanco. It's, how are the floor plans used in Visor collected and or created for schools and critical infrastructure that are not already covered? How would you go about creating and connecting all this data?
Great question. I think there's several answers to that, and it's probably not going to be the same answer for each situation. But typically, the first question is, do you have any CAD or BIM data for your facility? And no matter what facility it is, whether it's the schools, this product is also used to secure nuclear sites as well. But we look at CAD and BIM data. We look at any maybe digital files, PDFs that might represent the floor plans of school layout. Sometimes, and oddly enough, we have to start with the fire plan that's plastered on the wall, right? This is where you are now, and this is how you get out. Typically, that's what we usually scan that in and use that to start with. If those don't exist, then we ask, can we throw the backpack on and can we walk the facility? It doesn't take long to throw that backpack on, like that one slide I showed you, walk the facility, get a point cloud representation, and then convert that into a floor plan. And while we're walking, right, is there an opportunity to collect assets and collect other information, the imagery, maybe key and critical assets for that space to jumpstart that asset inventory process.
Fantastic. Does anybody have any other questions? And if you do, could you raise your hand and we'll unmute you? And if you don't, I have one question. So, yeah, Greg and Steve, this is really good stuff. I can imagine that there are a lot of people on this call who are thinking of ways where this could be beneficial to them. One thing I wanted to ask you is, do you see, are you getting calls from the NG 911 folks and stuff to do kind of interior modeling or interior floor plans and stuff to help with some of that NG 911 stuff? Do you see that growing? Are you getting calls about that? Can you speak to that a little bit?
So we see a little bit of it, especially with the onset of ArcGIS Indoors a couple of years ago. It's not taking off at a record neck-breaking pace, though. Mm-hmm. Steve, what do you think about that? Are you seeing that across the company?
Yeah, across the country, we're starting to get more and more. And as more folks, as we start to unveil the new capabilities of this new company, people are starting to realize, oh, okay, now I've got some more opportunities, and we are seeing an uptake in people asking, can we leverage, can we take advantage of it? How hard is it? What's the return on investment? Those kinds of things for doing indoor mapping and floor plan generations. We're starting to see an uptake in that.
Okay, I figured you would. I mean, that's an important thing, but that's kind of one of those, how do you grab this refrigerator and move it? It's a big thing to do. So I was just curious to know how y'all are handling that. But this is all great stuff. If we get any questions after the fact, we'll make sure and send them to you guys for any information. And those of you on the call, you're going to get this presentation. It's being recorded and it'll be put out there. So feel free to reach out to Steve and Greg at all if you need any other questions or if you want to talk more about how they can help you in your projects. They'd be happy to help you. So thank you guys so much for being here. Yeah, that's of course, hang on. Love the automatic lights. Yeah, but listen, appreciate you guys being on here, and I'd love to talk to you more about some of your offerings and in the future, and just so glad you guys are on the contract and that you could be here today. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for the invite.
Okay.
Yep.
We will move on and we're going to close this out. I definitely wanted to thank everybody for being on this, on our community meeting this time, and especially wanted to thank those there at Continental Mapping Company, GISinc. Thanks to Gayla, Joey, and Lauren for their updates, and all those who participated on the roll call. This is what makes the community meeting a community. If you talk, that's what we want to hear. So this was a great interaction that we had. We'll go to the next slide real quick, because on the 27th, July 27th is going to be our scheduled next meeting. I think it's going to be just like we have it today. It seems to be working for everyone, so we'll continue on with the virtual side. Also, too, we will. You've seen the save the date. If you go to the TNRIS website, the save the date is on there for the forum. Joey, the next slide, if you could. October 18th through the 22nd of 2021. So definitely put that on your calendar. That's going to be a big deal. We missed last year, and so we're really hoping to kind of make up for it this year, and we're going to do the best we can. And if anybody has any ideas or thoughts to that, love to hear from you. We don't have a facility right now. The Pickle Center has been closed down, and so we're hoping that they will open back up in time for our forum. There's no guarantee, so we're kind of looking at plan Bs right now. So it'd be kind of a shocker not to have the event over at the Pickle Center, but we're keeping our fingers crossed. So next slide, Joey. And we want to tell you, I think I have Courtney Rowe on. Courtney, if you are on, if we could unmute Courtney so we can talk, she can talk a little bit about what you see here, but a lot that Swigis is doing. Courtney, if you're on, you want to give a little snippet of what's happening?
Thanks, Richard. I appreciate it. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. So I am still on the board for supporting women in geography and GIS, and we are picking up some great virtual events. So tonight, I hope y'all join us for our Swigis and Urissa, Texas Geo Trivia. Starts at 5. So even if you're still working, you can still come and have your favorite beverage with us. Go to the TNRIS, go to the Urissa, Texas events page to get signed up for that. Our next member meeting for supporting women in geography and GIS is going to be pretty cool. We're doing a 30-minute. So 30 minutes of looking at different tools with GIS to purchase your next home or just find your next place to live. And then the final 30 minutes will be getting to know the people that came to the meeting so we can catch up with old friends and meet some new ones. And one of the biggest events that we've had so far this year, or that we're going to have, is our GISP workshop hosted by me. We're going to do a 3-hour workshop on Saturday, May 15th from 9 a.m. to noon. It's going to be a minimal cost of $50, which is a donation towards supporting women in geography and GIS. And we're going to go through everything from the requirements and the value of having a GISP to kind of digging down into the test questions, what the test looks like from my point of view as being somebody who took the test, and answering your questions for the portfolio and just making sure you get some more hands-on with this workshop. So please feel free to email swigis.austin@gmail.com if you have any specific questions, but please go to our website and check out the details. Thanks, everyone. Look forward to having you.
Thank you so much, Courtney. Yeah, definitely good stuff there. So if you can attend, please do so. It goes to a good cause as well. So looking forward to that. And if that is it, I'll talk with Joey real quick. Joey, any other things we need to be bringing up? Any other comments or whatever happening on the message boards? Doesn't look like it to me.
No, I'm not seeing anything.
Okay. All right, then we're going to go ahead and close this out. I wanted to remind everybody to please follow us on Twitter at TNRIS. For any updates, we try to post those out on our Twitter account. So if you're not following us, please follow us, and we're going to continue to try to keep you updated through our social media outlets and through our website as well. But thanks again for everybody being a part of this. This is really, really great. It got a good attendance this time. And look forward to talking to you guys in July. And till then, stay safe, and we will see you next time. Take care, everyone.